I still taste the exact second my heart was ripped out and handed back to me on a paper plate. Tuesday, 3:47 and 3 seconds p.m., Denver, November 12, 2024. The office thermostat was stuck at 69 degrees, but my skin flashed to ice the moment Mom's name lit the screen. I was elbow deep in a manifest that could kill a children's ward if one decimal slipped. My coffee had grown a skin thick enough to ice skate on, gray and trembling each time the AC coughed. I swiped with a thumb that still carried yesterday's paper cut from sealing Leo's birthday card nobody opened. Ellie Bird, she sang, voice dipped in honey and arsenic about Mia's wedding in Maui. The pause that followed was a slow-motion execution. I heard gulls in the background. She was already poolside, rehearsing paradise. We never put your name on the manifest. Flights gone. Villas triple booked. Head count locked. Peak season, honey. We only noticed when the final invoice hit. Forgot. The word detonated inside my sternum. Shrapnel of 28 birthdays skipped, 14 graduations where I stood alone holding the camera, 9 Christmas Eves spent wrapping their gifts with dollar store paper while they slept off eggnog. I bit my tongue so hard blood bloomed copper across cold coffee. Okay, I whispered, voice flat as the spreadsheet that owned my soul. I hung up, opened Kayak, typed farthest airport from Maui, and felt my pulse in my teeth. That night, I dragged my $79 IKEA couch to the curb, spray-painted free in arterial red, and watched a kid in a CU hoodie wrestle it into a Civic like he'd won the lottery. $83 hit my Venmo with a rocket emoji. I laughed until I gagged, then laughed harder because the sound was mine alone, echoing off brick walls that had never heard me scream. Let me paint the girl I cremated, so you feel the heat of the phoenix. Ellie Zhao, 5 feet 4 inches, size medium invisibility cloak, certified shock absorber. My badge read Senior Supply Chain Analyst, but my real title was Janitor of Other People's Chaos. I could reroute a container through 3 typhoons and still landed in Portland by 6:03 a.m. I knew every SKU that could stop a heart if it shipped late. I kept a secret drawer. 47 granola bars, peanut butter, because Mia's allergic. 12 tampons, ultra, because Leo once joked periods were dramatic. 3 spare chargers, because Dad's phone died every time he needed to call me. At home, 412 square feet above faux 79, radiator clanking like a drunk jazz band. Walls the color of nicotine regret. 1 pot hose I named Kevin that I murdered twice and revived with whispered apologies. I watered it with tears on nights I calculated how many overtime hours it took to buy Mia's veil. Family mythology. Mia, 31, architect of glass towers that scraped God's ego, Instagram filtered into permanent sunset, fiancé with a trust fund and a jawline sharp enough to cut excuses. Leo, 25, crypto oracle, bought his first Lumbo with Dogecoin and Mom's Pride 2.0, voice like a TED Talk on mushrooms. Me, 28, the ellipsis. The pause they skipped when retelling stories. The one who color-coded Mom's pill case every Sunday, who drove Dad to chemo when Leo was in Bali closing a deal, who proofread Mia's vows at 2:14 a.m. while they slept off champagne. My birthday last year. Tuesday. I baked a single funfetti cupcake, lit a tea light, sang to Kevin the pot hose. 0 notifications. I told myself silence was peaceful. It was a mausoleum. 2 nights before I vanished, I found Grandma Ruth's letter inside the hollowed-out Bible she left me. Lavender envelope sealed with wax the color of storm bruises. My fingers shook so hard the seal cracked like bone. Ellie Bird. Quiet rivers don't beg permission to carve canyons. This money is your chisel. $212,000. Carve until the world bleeds awe. Until your name is the echo that keeps tyrants awake. Until March 7th, every room you enter forgets how to breathe. I love you louder than they ever will. Grandma Ruth. P.S. Burn something beige. I pressed the paper to my mouth and tasted salt. Mine, hers, the Pacific I would never see with them. Then I opened 4 browser tabs. 1. Kayak one way to Tokyo. 2. Facebook Marketplace free couch. 3. A blank Google Doc titled Countries Where Ellie Was Never the Afterthought. 4. A private Pinterest board, cremation wardrobe. Wednesday, I wore the red lipstick I bought for my own funeral. Patricia's office smelled like espresso and divorce papers. She was on her fourth shot, glasses fogged, hair escaping its bun like a jailbreak. I need 18 months, I said, voice steady as a scalpel. She blinked twice, slow as slot machines. You've banked 49 vacation days, saved this company 11 million in penalties, and never once used the word no. She slid the sabbatical form across the desk like a winning lottery ticket. Take 2 years. Your cubicle will become a shrine to your posted art. Go become the emergency someone else fixes. I signed with the pen that still had my blood under the cap from last night's bite marks. She hugged me so hard my ribs sang. I smelled her perfume, bergamot and mercy, and cried into her blazer for the first time since kindergarten. That afternoon, I committed digital suicide. Family chat for 12 p.m. Sabbatical. Phone off. Don't wait up. Love, the ellipsis. Mia replied with a peach emoji and a gif of a champagne pop. Mom called 17 times, each ring a tiny coffin nail. I filled a mason jar with water, dropped the sim like a silver seed, and watched it drown. Then I danced barefoot on the radiator clanking a standing ovation. I filmed it on my laptop, captioned it Funeral for Reliable Ellie, and saved it to an encrypted drive labeled One Day. Narita, 4:03 a.m., jet-lagged hallucination. Airport smelled of cedar, miso, and second chances. I bought a tuna mayo onigiri with coins that felt like communion wafers. Sat on the cold floor of the Narita Express, backpack digging bruises into my spine, and cried into rice so hard the seaweed wrapper tore. A businessman in a navy suit handed me a pocket tissue embroidered with cranes. I bowed so low my forehead touched his shoes. He bowed back. For the first time, someone saw me without being paid to. I tucked the tissue into my bra like a love letter. Hostel bunk, top, next to Klaus the German who snored in July 8th time. I lay rigid, counting heartbeats, whispering the new gospel. I am allowed to be the protagonist. I am allowed to take up space. I am allowed to be loud enough to bruise the sky. At 3:33 a.m. the words stopped shaking. I fell asleep smiling so hard my cheeks cramped. Dreamed of Grandma Ruth high-fiving me from a cloud made of red lipstick. Kyoto, for 11 a.m., frost on temple stones sharp as betrayal. I carried my 3 beige cardigans in a rice sack like a corpse. The incinerator glowed orange, hungry. One by one I fed them. Left sleeve, Every, you're so reliable, that tasted like rust. Right sleeve, Every, we'll call you later, that never came. Body, every night I fell asleep to the sound of my own swallowed screams. Smoke rose in funeral spirals. A monk with kind eyes handed me incense. For the girl you're cremating, he said. I bowed until my spine cracked open and light poured out. I scattered the ashes into the koi pond. Fish kissed them like secrets. Osaka, midnight, kitchen the size of a confession booth. Obasan Mia, 82, wrists like nautical rope, eyes like black tea steeped in wisdom. She let me knead soba dough until my palms split and bled flour pink. She pressed her thumb into the wound. Pain is the flour, Ellie. Pressure makes noodles. Pressure makes mountains move. I ate my first bowl standing over the sink, broth scalding my tongue, tears mixing with sesame oil until I couldn't tell which burned more. She wrapped my hands in rice paper and whispered, "You are the meal now. Feed the world." I kept that rice paper in my wallet for 400 days. It yellowed like a love letter from God. I scattered the old Ellie like ashes across continents. Seoul. Work IDs snapped over the Han, halves drifting like suicidal doves. Bangkok. Family Christmas photo folded into a spirit house for the ghosts to judge. Hanoi. Emergency granola bars fed to 3-legged dogs who followed me 6 blocks wagging gratitude. Chiang Mai. My emergency contact list burned in a hill tribe bonfire while shamans drummed my new name into the stars. Bali. I tattooed a tiny red ellipsis on my wrist, reminder that every story gets to continue. Month 4 they filed a missing person report. Month 5 Mia's wedding reel hit 112K likes. Sunset vows, Leo crowd surfing in linen, Dad weeping into orchids. No empty chair. They'd photoshopped me out before I even boarded. Caption: Best day ever sparkles bride with veil medium light skin tone female sign hibiscus. I watched it on a cracked tablet in a Laos internet cafe, paid in sticky rice, and felt nothing but the sweet hollow of a tooth finally pulled. I left the tablet on the table for the next ghost. Month 6, Chiang Mai night market, chili haze thick as betrayal. I'd just closed my first freelance deal, $2,100 for rerouting 60 tons of ceramics through Singapore, and my shattered phone buzzed against my thigh. Dad's face, gaunt, study bookshelves sagging like broken ribs. Ellie, we never wrote your name. Not on the list. Not in our hearts. I measured love in decibels, and you were always the whisper. I'm sorry I handed you silence and called it safety. The video ended. I dropped the phone. It exploded into silver confetti on wet cobblestone. A tuk-tuk driver gathered the shards in his helmet like dragon scales. Highest temple, he asked. I nodded. We roared upward, engine. Screaming my rage in 4 languages. At the summit, under lanterns bleeding gold, I screamed until blood dotted the tiles, raw, cathedral, prehistoric. Monks didn't flinch. One pressed a lotus into my bleeding palm. For the girl you're midwifing, he said. I crushed the petals, red smeared like war paint. I painted it across my cheeks and roared again. The mountain echoed back, Ellie. Prague, month 9, Vltava River glittering like a million knives learning mercy. LinkedIn message from Victoria Lang, Apex Pharma. Need the madwoman who slashed freight 44% for 3 Vietnamese potteries and ghosted an entire bloodline. 7 figures over 3 years, private jet miles, and a mandate to burn your past to the ground. You in? Video call. Steel gray Bob Sharp as guillotines, eyes that had fired titans before breakfast. I accepted mid-sentence, voice cracking like glacier calving. Then I weaponized my resurrection. Profile update, 2:07 a.m. Prague time. Ellie Zhao, VP Global Supply Chain. Apex Pharmaceutical Distribution. Current location, wherever they forgot to look. Bio, I turned neglect into 9-figure empires. Viewer count detonated. 11, 97, 1,893, 27,004. 214, Mia FaceTimes, mascara rivers, wedding veil still tangled in her hair. I watch her collapse into voicemail. 217, Mom, voice raw as steak tartare. 219, Leo, slurring from a Miami club. I answer none. I email Victoria. First target, the company that trained me to be a footnote. I want their market share for breakfast, lunch, and midnight snack. Reply, single flame emoji and a calendar invite titled Empire Autopsy. Denver, 15 months later. Apex War Room, 14th floor, mountain view sharp as betrayal. My old employer's stock ticker bleeds crimson behind me, dripping onto Italian marble. Trevor, thief of my slides, heir to my stolen throne, updates his resume in a Starbucks bathroom, tears mixing with oat milk. Mia's marriage counselor. Sends invoices thicker than her prenup. Mom keeps my new business cards in her bra like relics pressed against her heart. Dad sleeps with my Apex annual report under his pillow like a new gospel. Leo drunk dials at 3 a.m. asking how to short his own life choices. I fly first class now, 1 carry-on, passport stamped in 42 shades of war paint. I sign contracts worth more than their collective net worth. I fire VPs who once asked me to fetch coffee. I tip flight attendants enough to pay their rent because I remember ramen nights. And every takeoff I press my forehead to the window, feel the engines roar my name, and whisper, "Thank you for forgetting me. You built me a runway long enough to launch galaxies." I still taste that first cracked heartbeat. But now it's the war drum I march to. Now it's the bass line under boardroom symphonies. Now it's the pulse in the throat of every empire I topple. Now it's the lullaby I sing to Kevin the pothose, who now lives in a penthouse jungle. So tell me, beautiful sleepless warrior watching this at 4:04 a.m., when they erase your name from the manifest of your own blood, do you beg for the crumbs of their memory? Or do you disappear so exquisitely they need a Hubble telescope to find the supernova you became? Type your battle cry below. I read every scar, every war paint smear, every red ellipsis. Next upload. I close a $97 million deal in Mumbai wearing the same red lipstick I used to bury a girl in, only now it's custom blended with chili oil, so it burns their retinas when I smile. Hit the bell. The girl they erased is now the woman they can't afford to spell wrong. And darling, neither can you.